The Mongol Empire was immense. It was the second largest empire in the world, only behind the British. It was the largest continuous land empire in history, stretched to 9 million square miles, and at its height, around 1250 AD, it stretched from South Korea to Poland. Nearly a quarter of the world's population was under their direct rule, so I think it's fair to say the Mongol Empire was quite formidable. However, just 162 years later, it collapsed, due to a multitude of different reasons, too long and too complex to explain in depth, but basically it was too large and spanned too far to be governed effectively, and there was infighting between Genghis Khan's descendants. However, despite its immense size, you'd expect Mongolia to still at least be relatively powerful today, even if it would just be a fraction of what it once was. For example, Russia, the UK and Italy are all still powerful and members of the G7 or G8 when Russia's included, a group of the world's 8 global leaders. Even countries such as Iran are still talked about in the international community, with large oil reserves and a sizable military with an air force and navy. The Roman Empire and Persian Empire were also significantly older than the Mongol Empire, and the British Empire was much younger, so age doesn't seem to play a part in it. So naturally, it raises the question, why has Mongolia fallen so far from relevancy and power? Mongolia today is the 19th largest country in the world, and does have some natural resources, including gold, coal and silver. They have the potential to sell almost $3 trillion worth of minerals alone, although only about 30% of Mongolia's territory has been explored for mining. Mongolia also only has around 3.2 million people, around half of which live in just the capital, Ulaanbaatar. Its average citizen only makes around $3,000 a year, compared with some $40,000 or $60,000 from the average citizen of the UK or US. Mongolia just keeps getting even more bad luck though, as much of the country is engulfed by the Gobi Desert, meaning growing crops and building infrastructure is made even more difficult due to scorching temperatures that can soar as high as 45 degrees Celsius. Furthermore, Mongolia is squished between some not so friendly neighbours, Russia and China. It nearly borders Kazakhstan here, but as you can see, it's cut off here as well. In fact, Mongolia pretty much only exists here as it provides a nice buffer state between two dominant global powers, and because it doesn't really possess any desirable land, it's left alone, although it's heavily influenced by China, with it exporting 92% of its goods there, and 70% of its imports come back from China as well. Lastly, if life couldn't really get any worse for Mongolia, you may by now realise it's landlocked, which means no access to the world's oceans. This limits their ability to extract oil, fish, and it just hinders their transport. In fact, you'd have to travel over 400 miles to reach an ocean, even if you were at the closest point to one in Mongolian territory. Being connected to the world's oceans is vital for a country to thrive, and it's why the top 6 richest countries in the world, the US, China, Japan, Germany, the UK and India all have amazing access to the sea. In fact, only one country in the entire top 20 richest countries in the world is landlocked, and that's Switzerland, at number 20. The point is, it's vital to be connected to the world's oceans for trade, transport and economic perks, such as fishing rights and economic exclusion zones, for resources such as oil and minerals found at low depths of the ocean. Overall, Mongolia has had one of the worst falls from a global leadership position, and is now rarely talked about these days compared with countries such as Italy and the UK, which still have major presences in the world. Mongolia is a poor, vast country with a population smaller than most large cities. It has no real military capability outside of a few thousand troops. It's landlocked, resulting in further lack of economic ties with other countries, and is economically and militarily dominated by its neighbours. Now, Mongolia really just serves as a buffer state among Russia and China, but its culture is still rich, and it still has many amazing traditions and ceremonies which still go on to this day. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.